Yes, sir. What's up, man? It's your boy DJ Meechie, the Black Kennedy, live and direct. Happy 2023. We here, that DJ Meechie podcast. This is, I believe, episode numero 3. Episode 3. That's my favorite number 3. As you can hear in the background, we have some guests on the show today. I have one of my favorite soulpreneurs in the building with me today. We're gonna start off the new year, highlighting somebody very special to me, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself, and then I'm going to explain why she is on the show today. All right, sound good?
Sounds good.
Well, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would. This is Sharon, Liann, partner, better half, mommy of Blissy.
Mm-hmm. Before we even get into that, let the people know who you are, what you do, all of that.
Well, I am an intuitive healer and coach, and I work with people to help them navigate their spiritual journey, the one that we're all on.
Fire. I like it. Well, for the people that's tuning in, I know you guys are excited. I am back. I promise you that I will be consistent this time and make sure that we have weekly episodes going on and content going out on a regular basis. The reason why I had to take a little pause is because of these people that are on this podcast today. We're going to take it back from the beginning. So I would say a year ago this time, I believe is when we found out that you were pregnant.
Yeah.
And
Just before. We found out like in February.
Right. So around this time you got pregnant. Yes. Around this time last year you got pregnant, and then we found out about a month later.
Correct.
That you was pregnant, and then our lives changed
drastically.
So I want to just kind of just go through everything from the beginning till now, obviously us being parents, and how we navigated through this whole thing and how we got here. And again, for my peoples that's listening, this, you guys can blame my absence. You can blame Sharon.
No.
You could blame Bliss. Because I had daddy duty, man. I had to get my thing moving and figure my life out and all that. But I want to take it from the tippity top. When we found out, all of that. I remember the day you text me and you said, "I got something to talk to you about." And as a man, there's only a couple things that really go through your mind when you get that type of text. The first thing that usually pops up in your mind is like, oh, she might be pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Second thing is like, oh, did she find something out? Is there something I don't know about? Like, what happened? You know what I'm saying?
Was there something to find out?
It wasn't nothing to find out,
right.
But it's just one of those things where, you know what I mean? Like, your mind starts racing, like, And, you get to a place where you're like, man, I don't know what's going on, man. So I remember being on my way home, and I just was thinking about it, and was just kind of like in my head, like, man, what's going on? And then when I get home, I get to the door, and can I tell the people what happened? Or
sure, go ahead.
I walk inside, I look down at my dog, and my dog had the pregnancy test.
It was wrapped up. Don't make it seem like I just had threw a pregnancy test on Chase.
It was attached to my guy Chase, and picked it up. She went running into the room, and that's when I saw that, yes, she was pregnant, and we had a baby on the way. My initial feelings, I didn't know. I was just in shock, just total shock. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to approach you after the fact because obviously you ran in the room. So I kind of had to just sit and just think and just process. But I just remember just having the test in my hand for like in half hour, like just looking at it like, wait, what is going on? So I just want to know, like, you know, when you found out, you know, what were your initial feelings? How did you feel? Like, what was going through your mind? Like, how'd you feel about everything?
When I first found out, I was scared. I was scared to tell you. I wasn't scared to be pregnant. My initial emotion was excitement. You know, I'd always wanted to be a mother, and I was in a good place. I felt like in my relationship with you, I felt like I was really centered in love at that time. I had been going through a lot personally with family stuff, and so I felt like it was a necessary light that needed to come at that time. So I was excited, but I was very nervous to tell you. And so that's why I hid in the room, because I didn't know what your reaction was going to be. And I didn't also want to force a reaction out of you. I wanted to allow you time to process it on your own because I knew that it was a lot.
Mm-hmm. And I think a little bit of being on the man's side as well is you also sometimes don't necessarily know how to approach it because you also think about how the other person is feeling too. You know what I'm saying? So I think that a little bit of that was in my mind too. Like, okay, how should I react to this? Well, I know how I want to react to this, but how should I react to this? Because I also want to be understanding of the other person. You know what I'm saying? In that situation. But you know, we linked back up. Everything was good, and we understood, and we was happy, and we knew that we had to figure out, or we knew that, you know, we had to get ready for this journey. You know what I'm saying? I think that I didn't even really have that because I thought initially, like, seeing it, trying to process it, being in shock. I thought immediately after that was gonna be like all of those worries and you know, am I ready? Am I gonna be able to do this? Like, you know, all of that stuff that usually, you know, races through your mind. But to be honest, it didn't really hit me like that. It just kind of was like, all right, get ready for this new, you know, this next like chapter in your life, this new journey, and be present and you know, help each other out, be supportive, learn. And I was just super excited, I guess, for that part of everything, because to be honest, from the beginning I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to do, how to do, what we supposed to do, anything, you know what I'm saying? So to have somebody like you, a partner like you, who at the end of the day you were very knowledgeable at the top of everything. Of course we both learned, you know what I'm saying, a lot of stuff on the way, but you seemed like you had a grasp of at least understanding, like, okay, these are the first couple things that we probably should like know or like figure out or like that type of stuff. So
yeah, I think from the beginning we both knew that we wanted to try to have the most natural, healthy pregnancy that we could have. And so finding a good OBGYN practice was important. Trying to find a doula was really important to me. As a Black woman being pregnant, we already know the maternal child health statistics in this country are horrific. And there's been a lot of attention lately in the media, even though this has been a always and forever problem. So because I knew that, I had certain fears going into it, only about engaging with the system, engaging with the healthcare system, and what that was going to be like for us. And so I made it my business. You know, I'm a natural researcher. I made it my business to really, really understand what this journey was going to be like for us and how we could protect ourselves and protect our son ultimately.
And I think that you being, you know, I guess you having that understanding from the jump and knowing all of that obviously helped me out, because a lot of that stuff that you educated me on, a lot of that early stuff of, how black women are treated and this, that, and the third, and all of that type of stuff. Like it's not that I was naive to it or oblivious of it, but just not understanding, like, statistically, when you were showing me the statistics and the numbers and the this and the that and all that, I was like, oh, well, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I need to educate myself on. You know what I'm saying? So it was great to have that, and I think that that's just a testament to, like, the whole thing, because it's great to have a partner that is that can, like, fill some of the voids, I guess, that maybe some of the things you might not know, then you can help that person out with things that person doesn't know, and, like, it kind of meshes at some point, you know what I'm saying, on both ends of the spectrum. But now going through, the process or just your journey with pregnancy, what was, like, some of your favorite parts of it?
Well, first off, I had a beautiful pregnancy overall. I really can't complain. I hear horror stories about people being very sick, people not having the support that they need to, whether it's through their partner or other people in their lives. And I felt surrounded by love 360. Like, I felt like you were an amazing partner. I felt like that was the foundation of us learning how to be true teammates in our relationship. And so I feel like we became team members for sure during this whole pregnancy process. But in general, in terms of how I felt, I didn't have like that bad of nausea or anything like that. I felt really good, and I felt beautiful, especially once I had a belly. It took me a while to get my belly, and I was not feeling bad when I didn't have a belly, but I felt, like not super pregnant and not super in that glory until, my belly popped. And so when that happens, I felt really beautiful. I felt very taken care of by my community. I was surrounded by a lot of other Black and brown women who were just trying to nurture me and pour love into me, from my sister, my friends, everyone. And so that was really nice, because you and I have talked about how both you and I are not the type of people who ask for help that often. And so that's one thing that the pregnancy kind of pulled out of the both of us, I think, and just having Bliss too, not after pregnancy, is the fact that we've had to lean on other people. And that feels good to know that other people have our backs. And so I feel like I had a beautiful pregnancy overall.
That's dope. And I think that, the best thing is just going to your point is just, doing it together, experiencing all this stuff together, for the first time for both of us. And, as a man in a relationship, and you obviously you're not the one pregnant, and not going through, some of the things that you're going through and stuff like that. At times you don't necessarily really know what to do or how to approach certain situations. I think that it's a trial and error, as you go, you learn type situation. But I think that it definitely was a great experience, and definitely allowed me to just understand so much about just a woman and a woman's body, and just all of that, like, just stuff that I just never ever thought about, you know what I'm saying? Never thought about, you know what I'm saying? And just seeing the changes and how quick things changed, and just things you was going through, all of that type of stuff. But then it also was just like a good feeling of feeling like connected to it too, because I think at the end of the day, I remember like reading stuff or watching videos about, like the man can feel left out, or he can feel like, because he's not pregnant, he's not really like, a part of it or feels anything, and da-da-da-da. But like, I think like having that good environment that we had, it and just being very intentional and just in our beings, you know what I'm saying, when it came to just this journey, I think it was a good like, I felt good, you know what I'm saying? I felt good the whole time. Like, now I don't think one time I felt like I wasn't a part of something, or I wasn't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't feel no type of resentment, nothing. Like, it felt like I was really a part of it. You know what I'm saying, the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like a good experience. So then now you're going through the journey. You know what I'm saying, and now you getting up to, you know, those you almost at those 39 weeks, and you know it's time to go. You know, how did you feel? Was there a difference from how you felt then to maybe the beginning? You know, I can see in the beginning it could be something that is like super exciting and like stuff like that, but then once you get closer and closer and closer, you know, it could potentially get a little scary because now it's like, oh my God, he's like almost here now.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you deal with some of those feelings then, like the closer and closer you got?
I think the closer it got, I was just mostly afraid, or I feared the unknown like everyone else. So I didn't know what childbirth was actually going to feel like. I think that was my main focus because I was uncomfortable, but not like how people say like they were just ready for the baby to come out. I didn't feel like that. I felt like he could have stayed in there, to be honest. Yeah, I didn't really sleep that great at that point. I had heartburn, but I was pretty comfortable. And so my main thing was, how is this going to feel? And I just had a lot of concerns about what is going to happen when we're actually in the hospital, because that's where all the fear came from. That's where all of, you know, everything that I was researching in terms of things that could go not according to our birth plan, it all happens once you enter those hospital doors. And so a lot of my concerns were around that. And things definitely went a little left versus what we thought. But I will say every single person, every single mom in my life definitely told me, don't be married to your birth plan. And whatever happens is how it's supposed to happen. So don't feel, you know, obviously we said we wanted to go the natural route in terms of delivery, and having a C-section was the last thing that I wanted. I said that from the very beginning, and ultimately, I know we'll get into it, but that's what happened. So instead of allowing myself to linger there, I had to just focus on the fact that ultimately I want my baby to be healthy, and I want him to come out healthy, no matter how it comes, no matter if that is according to my plan, your plan. That's just what was meant to happen for whatever reason. And so yeah, I felt like the normal fears around childbirth as a first time mom.
Right. And it's funny that you brought up the point of saying, you know, don't be married to your birth plan, because I feel like as far as just a piece of advice, that was like one of the first things that I literally remember you saying in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't be married to our, you know, the birth plan and all that. Like, to the point where it always stuck with me. I don't know why that little piece of advice stuck with me, especially because that was one of the first things you told me in the beginning. But it stuck with me during the whole pregnancy, and it also just allowed me to, when certain things would happen, and if it went left or right or whatever direction it went, I kind of was just okay with it, because I just always went back to what you told me, like, we can't be married to this, we can't be married to this. So I was like, all right, cool. But then now, boom, you get into that hospital, you know what I'm saying? You get into that birthing center, and now, you know, it's time for you to go. It's time for things to start moving. And like you said, you know, sometimes things can go exactly how you want them to go, or similar or whatever. And then sometimes things just go a total another way. So, I mean, as much as you want to explain, you know, I would like for you to, you know, dive into, you know, maybe some of those emotions or some of those things that you felt during that process of birthing and just labor and like all of that type of stuff. Obviously, if you don't want to go through all of it, you don't have to, but just some of those emotions, because I think it is very important to really touch on the fact that, like you said, you can think things are gonna go your way, and then right when you're there, you know, things could change just like that.
Yeah. And before, well, do you want to back up and lean up to the part of that whole week? That was your birthday.
Yeah. So my son decided to give me a birthday present, and I guess, you know, break her water on my birthday. It was so funny because we knew that the due date was the week of my birthday. So obviously a lot of people was already like, you know, we feel like he's gonna be born on your birthday. I'm like, yeah, right. But then after a while, I started to think about it, and I'm like, that would be kind of dope if he was born on my birthday. And then so I was like accepting it at that point where I was just like, nah, this is dope. This would be dope. That would be like an amazing birthday present if he was born on my birthday. And then as it got closer, got past the due date, I was like, yo, he might really come on my birthday. And then I remember I woke up on my birthday. I was antsy all day because in my head I just was like, he might come today. You know what I'm saying? Because we made it this far, he might come. And I remember going to work that morning, and I went to a meeting, and everybody's in a meeting like, you know, he's coming today, right? You know, he's coming today. So of course they're like hyping me up. So I'm getting all anxious. And then kind of one of the reasons why I was like sleeping on like having plans for my birthday is just because I was like just so focused on like wanting my son to come. You know what I'm saying? So then when you was just like, all right, so what you want to do for your birthday? Like, you know, what's the plans? Like, I know, like, last minute, I'm just like, all right, well, I guess we can do this. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just, like, so focused on wanting him to come. So then we decide to go to dinner. And then we getting ready to go to dinner, and boom. And then I think you said that you started to feel contractions or something first.
Yeah, we didn't think that, we weren't sure that we were even going to be able to have a birthday dinner on your birthday around there. Because at this point, we were, I think, 2 or 3 days past my due date.
Yeah.
And so we had actually had dinner that weekend before. But so last minute, we said, since Bliss wasn't here yet, we decided to make dinner reservations last minute on your birthday to go out to dinner. And I didn't feel any type of way throughout the day. I felt completely fine. And it was literally, we were walking out the door, and right before we got out the door, I felt my first contraction. And then we got in the car, got on the highway. Right when we were getting on the highway, which is only about 5 minutes away, I got another contraction, which was weird because I thought that they were going to be more spread apart and then get closer. That's what you'll hear in the movies, and that's what everybody else kind of had told me. And so I wasn't expecting my second contraction to be 5 minutes apart. And so I felt that, but I was like, you know, that makes sense. He's coming soon. So those are just the Braxton Hicks contractions that everybody talks about. But we just kept it moving and went along to, you know, go have your birthday dinner. And then I want to say like not even 5 minutes after we were on the highway, it was like my water broke. And nobody could really explain to me what that was gonna feel like, because a lot of people I know either were induced. They didn't really have their water break like how you see it in the movies, but mine broke like how you saw it in the movies. It was just like, it was for sure water breaking. Like there was no mistaking it. And so I think I just grabbed your arm and I was like, my water broke. I think I just kept repeating it. My water broke. And all I was concerned with, I was like, oh, we have to cancel the dinner reservation. Yeah,
that's all she was worrying about was the dinner. And I'm like, yo, are you crazy? Yeah. And mind you, the funny thing about this story is the fact that even before we thought about the place that we was going to go to, I think even before that, I was going to tell you, like, let's go to New York. Remember I was saying that, like, I was going to say, let's go to New York. So just imagine if your water would have broke. Being in New York or on the way to New York, or, you know what I'm saying? Something like that would have been crazy. But, yeah, so then that happens. We on the highway. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I start freaking out. So I'm driving. I'm trying to, like, find the exit. And for some reason, I don't know if it was just me just freaking out, but it felt like the exit took forever. And then finally get off the exit. We turn around, get back on the highway, go back home. And then we get home, and obviously, like, because, you know, we sat with a doula for sessions. We did our Googles, we watching YouTube videos, all of that type of stuff. So, like, of course, like, when you go through all of that and you watching all these videos and all this stuff, you know, you get to a point where you know, it's the ego where you like, I'm good, I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm doing. I'm, you know, all that. So I thought I was good until we was in the situation. Until it said action go. That's when it was like real. So it was just crazy because like in that moment, I didn't know what to do. Like I was just like, yo, like she's really about to have the baby. And when we got back home, I remember bringing you inside. I think you went to go take a shower and all that. And I just didn't know what to do, like, because I'm always a person where like you know me, I'm always moving. So like I never like to look idle in any type of capacity. So of course, if I know that you in there about getting ready and stuff like that, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to be doing right now? So I'm like walking back and forth. I'm supposed to be packing stuff. I don't know what to pack. Like, is this ready, that ready? I'm trying to get the bags ready. I'm trying to do this. I'm going back. I'm just like freaking out. And obviously, like, I can't go to you and be like, yo, like, like help me. Like, I don't know what to do because you doing your thing. So I just remember that whole situation. I was just like, I was just in shock. Like, I just didn't even know what to do. It was crazy. And I'm never like that. Like, never. I always feel like I'm always like, okay, I know what to do. Like, all right, we got to do this. We got to do that. Like, but I'm talking about anything that I learned, it went out the window. Like, I was just like, okay, I know we're supposed to labor at home because that was the plan. Mm-hmm. So, like, what are we supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was just bad.
I think we actually switched personalities in that moment because I feel like I'm usually the one who's anxious about things and moving anxious. I've never seen you anxious or never seen you not know what to do. And so I felt very peaceful. Like I had to be calm. I had to be centered. And so I was even, you know, you had given me the phone because we had to call the doctor, and I was talking to the doctor from inside the shower, and I just knew I needed to stay calm, and I needed to I needed to be very present and mindful just so I can move through these contractions because they were painful, but they weren't as painful as they were going to get. And so I just wanted to stay focused. And I had looked up hypnobirthing and tried those techniques and all that. That really it helped a little bit while we were home. But like you said, we thought we were going to our original plan was to labor at home for as long as possible and then go to the doctors. But it ends up being that we called the doctor and they told us to come in right away. Yeah. Which completely, that was the beginning. That was the first thing that made us have to just change basically our whole
change
plan.
Everything. Yep.
Yeah. And I had even said leading up to it several times, especially towards the end, I do remember feeling like, okay, what if we had a home birth? You know, this is making me want a home birth even more. The more and more information that I got and the more conversations we had with our doula, I was just thinking, I think a home birth would be the best way because that would be the way to make sure that there's no medical intervention at all. That was what I was thinking. Right. Little did I know that we weren't going to be able to labor home at all. Yeah. And so my feelings it was so important just to return back to that moment of people telling us not to get married to our birth plan and not to get upset if it goes left. So I was really able to be flexible emotionally in those moments. You know what I mean? Like it really felt like, all right, we have to go to the doctors now, and that's fine. I'm just going to have to be calm. I couldn't allow any anxiety to get into my my system. Basically, I had to really focus. But it was funny. I will say I was kind of laughing in my head because I never seen you like that. I never seen you run back and forth and anxious and all that. Like it was funny to kind of see you a little bit panicky and kind of walk back and forth and pacing back and forth and throwing things in a suitcase and things that we didn't even need.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do, yeah. Like I was just grabbing stuff. Like I just didn't know.
And that's what and people did say to me, make sure your hospital bags are packed beforehand. And I had just been washing everything earlier that day. And because, new mom, I wanted very special, like hospital gowns and all the shit that you don't really need. Yeah. But I wanted that, the special things that I thought that I was going to want, down to like the color of the gown and the socks and the underwear and stuff, just so I didn't feel hospital-y. You know, I really didn't want to feel that way. And we didn't end up using any of that stuff. So yeah, we went to the hospital. By the time we got to the hospital, I want to say it was probably 2 hours after my first contraction, or after the water broke.
Yep.
And another part of our original plan was to be able to labor in the tub as much as possible. Ideally, we would have had a water birth, because that was my next best thing. I was like, if I can't have a home birth, I really want a water birth in the tub. That was one of the reasons why we went to a family birthing center versus a traditional hospital. And so we went there. I didn't know if they were going to let me still labor in the tub, but they did. And let me just say, those contractions, I mean, there's no way to explain to anyone who has not given birth or had contractions what that pain is like.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Time was skipping. You said that I was in the tub for about 3 hours. It did not feel like 3 hours. I had no sense of time.
It was that was a crazy experience, because that was the first time I saw you in that element of, you know, obviously going through those motions. If you thought I panicked before or was going, you know, out of it before, like I remember the tub part. I was like, yo. Because like I said, I just never seen you in that element to go through those type of emotions, to go through that type of stuff. And I ain't gonna front. It looked like it hurt. You know what I'm saying? So like for me to just sit there and watch you in pain, like it was just a crazy experience. Yeah. To watch that, and then for you to, and then you kind of feel helpless, because you kind of feel like can't really do anything, you know what I'm saying, outside of maybe I can massage you, maybe I can put something on you, maybe I can I can play some music, I can, you know what I'm saying, I can breathe with you, I can do that, you know, some of those exercises and those things that they tell you that as a man that you could do to help. But then at the same time, it's like when you hearing the way that you sound and how you breathing and like all that type of stuff, it's like, oh my God, I feel like I can't do anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it just was a crazy that was different. That was like, I was like, oh nah, this is real. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. And so at that point, I felt, after about 3 hours had gone by, I started to feel defeated. And that's the part that I was that's the part I was most nervous for. And that's exactly the moment where we were supposed to have support from our doula. And long story short, our doula never showed up. And so now it's about, I think it was about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I finally tell you, I'm like, I think I need an epidural. And that was, again, the C-section, number 1 thing I don't want. Epidural, number 2 thing I did not want. So again, I felt so defeated, and I felt just like, that is when I really started to think, okay, this is really not going to go as I planned. And I remember the look on your face. I remember feeling like, okay, I'm disappointing him, because I know we both were very much on the same page about not wanting any medicine, ideally. Definitely not an epidural. Like, we had even talked about other types of medicine that we might consider trying before the epidural. So the fact that it got to that level, where I needed an epidural, I felt like I let you down. I felt like definitely let myself down, but it was just, I could not go. I felt like I could not go through it anymore. And so I asked for the epidural, and then it couldn't come fast enough. I was like, where are you? I was like, where is the nurse? And then I'm, at this point, I'm like, tell them to please get up here now. Yeah. And then I was nervous about that. I didn't know how that was going to feel, and I was more nervous probably about getting the epidural than actually giving birth, or, ultimately going into the C-section part, because I just didn't know how it was going to feel.
Well, I think that just to back up a little bit, as far as feeling like you disappointed me and stuff like that. I don't think it was a disappointment. I think I was just, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I know that she's going through it. She's got to really be going through it if she's asking for an epidural, because I know from the jump, we, obviously birth plan, no medicine, none of that, boom, boom, boom. From the jump, from the gate, I would say another thing outside of you telling me, the one thing is like the first things that I remember of you telling me anything when it comes to this was like, okay, the don't be married to your birth plan, and do you know what an epidural is? And then you explained to me what an epidural is. And then, with the needles and people, have said that they've, this has happened to them because of this and da-da-da. So like when you explained it to me, but I in my head, I'm like, that's a no. You know what I'm saying? So then when we get to that point and you like, I think I want the epidural, like you said, it wasn't even offered to you. Like you said it. I was like, wait, what? Like, I just remember being in my head like, wait, what? So then in my head, I'm like, okay, is this like she's just going through it, and then she's just like, this is just what I want. You know what I'm saying? Or I was like, maybe can I talk to her? Can I help her out in some type of way? Like something like to change her mind, blah, blah, blah. Because I knew at the end of the day that that's not what you wanted. And my thing was just one of those things where like, seeing you go through that experience, it was almost like I felt like you like left the earth. You know what I'm saying? And like you was like in a whole nother dimension type vibe. So like going through all of that and seeing you in that space, I'm like, is she even here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I don't want to like agree to this, and then you get it, and then you come back to earth and you like, yo, why did you let me get this? You know what I'm saying? That's why I was nervous. It wasn't even about me being nervous that you was getting an epidural at that point. It was just like, I don't want to make the wrong decision to support this decision, and then later on you be like, I can't believe, you know what I'm saying? Like you say something like, I can't believe you allowed me to get that or something like that. That was the only thing that I was nervous about. But then of course, obviously you getting the actual epidural and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I just felt, I think I asked you like 4 times. Yeah. I was like, are you sure? Yeah. And then that 4th time when you said yes, I said, all right. I said, at this point, if she wants the epidural, this situation must really be bad. Yeah. Like, it must really hurt. So I was just like, all right, it just is what it is. And to back up even before that, I just wanted to add this. A funny thing is when we was in the tub, we had brought like, I had made like a little playlist, and we was playing music and stuff like that. And then she had told me to bring like snacks and all that. And now this was snacks for her. And when I tell you I was so anxious, nervous, like I was so out of it that like I was eating her snacks. Like I had to do something because I was like losing my mind. It was just so crazy. The whole experience was crazy. But yeah, so now we get to the epidural.
Yeah, I think that some part of me also was thinking, is something wrong? I wasn't nervous that something was wrong, like in the front of my mind, but the fact that the reason why we had to go right away to the hospital was because there was meconium, I think that's how you say it, in my water when it broke, which meant that, his stool was in the amniotic fluid. He was breathing. In my head, I was like, well, so he's breathing in his poop, his shit, and nobody's concerned. Right. So I was actually concerned that, they told us to come right away to the hospital, but then they weren't speeding anything up. The fact that they even let us labor as long as we wanted to and didn't really bother us for a while, I was just like, is everything okay? And the fact that the contractions, again, just happened so fast. Because in my mind and everything I saw, people had labored for a while. So the fact that they started from 5 minutes apart and only got closer and only got more painful, I was thinking, is my baby okay? Mm-hmm. Like, this doesn't feel like it is right.
Right.
So, and ultimately we found out, that he did need to come out. He was fine up until he came out, obviously, but he was in distress. Mm-hmm. And so I'm glad that I didn't push to stay home, or I didn't push for like a home birth or anything like that. And now I can say that. In the moment, I didn't feel that, but he did need to come out. And so we always say everything happens for a reason. But at that moment, I really didn't feel, even though I felt like I was letting myself down in that moment when I had to ask for the epidural. Right after that, I was very grateful that I had the epidural. Very, very grateful. I didn't have any regrets. I should say.
Yep. And then just knowing how, the epidural works, and just remembering you telling me, like, I think you told me, like, what does it do? It slows up the.
It basically blocks your nerves, so you can't feel from your waist down. But that's also a lie, because I definitely could feel. I didn't think I thought I was gonna be completely numb, where I couldn't feel my legs.
Right.
Which that wasn't the case. I didn't know I was still gonna be able to, like, feel, definitely feel, and which made me feel better, actually, because I felt more in control of my body.
Right.
But that's what it does. It just blocks the nerves from the waist down.
Right. And then after that, it was still, like a long fight. You know what I'm saying? Till we got to, where Bliss came out. Bliss was good.
But it does slow down the labor. That was the main thing. So after I got the epidural, that has to be like 2:00 in the morning. He didn't come out until the next night at 9:00, right? 9:16 p.m. Yeah. And so it definitely slowed things up. But then they ended up giving me Pitocin, which was another intervention I didn't want to get. We went through a whole journey where his heart rate kept going down, and they kept rushing into the room and flipping me over from side to side, because they kept telling me, oh, your baby doesn't like you on this side, he doesn't like you on this side. They put a catheter in me so that they could give him more fluid to float around in, because at that point he had lost all the fluid. And so it was just a lot of, again, even though it sounds scary, I felt like I had to really be calm. And even when the nurses came in, they wanted us to rest, and so they would turn down the heart monitor, and I was just like, nah, turn that shit up. I need to hear my baby's heart rate, because I need to know. I need to be in control so I can, move my body and help him. I can't rely on the nurses to do that. So, it was even though I know we probably don't want to harp too much on the fact that the doula didn't come, but that was a huge. That what I didn't expect. That if anything I was upset about, it wasn't even about getting the epidural, having all these interventions. Those are the things I thought I was going to be upset about. I was upset that the person who said that they were going to support not just me, but really you, especially you, in supporting me and being an advocate for the both of us to have the delivery that we intended to have. They weren't there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like I had multiple emotions. It was like, number one, I just wanted to make sure my baby's okay. You're saying his heart rate is down. Obviously no parent wants to hear that. But then where is the person, the most vulnerable I felt in the hospital was just the feeling of like, I don't know what to trust.
Yeah.
And that was the fucked up part to me, because I was like, okay, the doctor is coming in. Now we have a new doctor because shifts change, and now all these people are telling me different things, and every time
different opinions.
Every time a new person comes in, they're making it seem more urgent than the last person.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, is this just your part of your game of how you get me to ultimately have a C-section, or is this real? And so just that feeling of I don't know what to believe, and I don't want to advocate for myself and say no, when it really could be something with my child, obviously. So to not have that support of someone who we thought was going to know more of how to navigate those dynamics, that was the most unsettling to me. But we made it through.
And I think that, to your point, just being being your partner in this situation, it was hard, because it was obviously, because you're sitting there, you're not, like, I can't really do anything. You know what I'm saying? I can't figure out how to speed this thing up. So I'm just kind of waiting like anybody and everybody else, but at the same time, I'm not going through what you're going through. So it's a different type of emotion, you know what I'm saying? And it goes back to like how I was saying before, like it's almost like a helpless emotion that you go through because I'm watching you go through all the emotions that you're going through. Obviously, I know that you're concerned about your child. We hearing the heart monitor. The nurses is coming in left and right. They doing tests. They whispering. They doing all this stuff. And it's like, and now you know you being the man, you just in the corner, just like yo, like okay, like what can I do? You know what I'm saying? But you can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Outside of just give your support, show your support, and be there for your partner. But it was like at certain points, certain points, it was like a messed up feeling at times because you just felt like like especially when it's a waiting game, you just waiting. You know what I'm saying? An hour goes by, they come back, tell you the same thing. 4 hours go by, they come back, they tell you the same thing. 12 hours go by, they come back and tell you the same thing, and it's just like you know what I'm saying? And then you feel bad because you just like they're like, well, yeah, you guys should rest. How am I supposed to rest when I'm worried about my child, or or you try to rest and then it's like, or even me, it's like I felt bad for resting at times because I'm like, I know you probably going through it. You know what I'm saying? So how do I be there for you, or how do I make you feel better? With you. Cause you was hemmed up the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like you was able to sprawl out and lay out and chill and da da da. Like you in motion. You know what I'm saying? But you got the little kind of doze off here and there or whatever the situation was. But
what was your most vulnerable moment?
Most vulnerable moment. Probably it was probably just in those moments of when we had to make those hard decisions, like the epidural, the whole C-section situation, and then having to just like back you up, but then and be supportive. Even if I felt, however I felt or whatever, like it was just like, all right, like that was probably the most vulnerable because, it wasn't about me, it was about you. You know what I'm saying? It was about what you was going through, how you was feeling and stuff like that. So I think that was probably those moments was probably the most vulnerable for me, and the most like out of my element too, because I just was like, like sometimes in those situations, you don't really know what to say, or you don't want to say the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it could come off the wrong way and set off that person, especially in that moment. So I think those situations was probably the most vulnerable spots for me. And then going back to like the doula situation, like hearing some of the nurses or doctors be like, "Yo, where's your doula?" And then like I'm just sitting there like, I don't know. Like, those situations, I think those as well. I mean, those is more embarrassing than anything, but yeah, I think like when we had to make those type of decisions of like, serious changes to like our birth plan and like that type of stuff, those are like the most vulnerable
definitely
parts for me, I would say. Just because of having to go through those emotions and watch you go through it as well.
Yeah.
That was serious.
Yeah. I think the only part, or the first part where I definitely broke down was when they said that they suggested that we have a C-section. Because it was right before it became an emergency C-section. Because the doctor had come in and was like, we want to get this done before it does become an emergency situation. And again, that was my number one thing I didn't want to happen. And so, that's the part where I really broke down. And then, but once we decided that that's what was going to happen, I really couldn't hear anything else. I couldn't hear like, but did we try this? Did we try that? I really was like, okay, this is what we're doing. Our son is coming. Let's just go with it. And that was probably actually the most vulnerable I felt, like when the reality hit, like we were going to need to have a C-section. Because even how they were talking about it was like they didn't say the words like hours leading up to it, but they would say things like, okay, we're going to try this before we have to start discussing other plans. And I already knew what they meant by that. And just that made my body anxious. And I was just like, all right, please let this, whatever they're going to try now, work so that we don't end up having a C-section. But it ended up happening. And how did you feel like when you knew we needed to have a C-section?
I mean, I was upset. I was upset, and I felt bad because I knew that it was like, I knew that it was the last thing that you wanted. I know that you, from the beginning, you wanted a natural birth, and, you wanted, no medicine, and C-section was definitely something you definitely didn't want and stuff like that. So I think, like, I was upset because I felt so bad for you. Mm-hmm. I felt sad for you. I think it was super scary too, because I mean, you hear all types of horror stories and stuff like that about things that happen. So I'm thinking about your health. I'm thinking about, you obviously making it through, just as much as obviously worrying about the baby and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think I was just scared, because I was just like, damn, like this is crazy. Yeah. And then just thinking about the after effects of it too, because thinking about just like, how you was gonna deal with it, how it was gonna affect you, physically, mentally, all of that, because you just, what I'm saying, like that's something that you have to really go through that. Like that's not something that you just, all right, yeah, whatever, I just gotta do what I gotta do. Like, nah, you act like, imagine you wanting something for 9 months, and then in that split moment, like everything changes. Yeah. And it's you would literally have to go through your nightmare in a sense, you know what I'm saying? And it just is what it is. Like I can see that being like a very emotional thing. And as much as I wasn't going through it, it was just like painful to see you go through it. Painful to see that. But at the same time, when you I remember in that moment when you kind of looked at me and was just like, I don't want to hear nothing else, like we're just gonna go do this. I also saw a lot of strength. I saw a lot of strength in you, because I was like, because in that moment you kind of just accepted it. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, nah, we're gonna go do this. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna go get our son, and our son is gonna be okay. So seeing that strength in you as well, it kind of allowed me to just, you know what I'm saying, be okay with it, and just be like, all right, because I think also in that moment too, especially when they was explaining what was going on with him and all of that type of stuff, I kind of like, it kind of made me think too, like, okay, this is like probably the worst thing in the world, but at the same time, like this could potentially be the reason why he's okay. Yeah. And he makes it through and like all of that. So I'm like, we here, like if this is what it is, and this is what it is, you know what I'm saying? And I think we both was on the same page. Yeah. At least. So I think it was after that I kind of was just like, okay. And I just, I was just praying in my head and stuff like that. I think at first I didn't know that they was gonna like allow me to be in there too. So I was like a little nervous, because I was like, oh my God, does this mean like I can't be in there, or like is it gonna be a whole thing where I gotta be on the outside the glass, or I gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know what to expect. So like I'm also thinking about that too, because of course, like, especially as a father, like you thinking about cutting the cord, you thinking about, all the things that you get to do as a father. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, damn, am I not gonna be able to do this stuff now? Like, am I not even gonna be able to take a picture of my son or like any of that? So all of that goes through your mind too. So I think I was just like going through the motions, and I think I was just upset, you know what I'm saying? But then at the same time, I had to just kind of suck it up and just be like, look, it's about the health of my son, so it just is what it is. But it was just outside of your experience, like my experience, and them going in there, getting you ready, boom, 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 and then the doctor literally said like, no, I'm gonna come get you, and or not the doctor, but the one of the people that was in there, one of the nurses, he was like, nah, I'm gonna come get you when we're ready, and you'll be in there, you'll be able to be by her, and blah blah blah. So it was like good because at least like exactly what like how I thought it was gonna happen, it didn't happen that way. And it was like a better situation. Like I was actually able to be in there with you. Hold your hand, like, go through that whole thing with you. And then once the baby came out, we was able to see the baby as soon as the baby came out. That whole experience was crazy. And then obviously got to take the picture, cut the cord, all of that. So, was able to do everything that I wanted to do, but it just, just the circumstances was obviously a lot different.
Yeah. I think every step of the way, the whole process to me was just the ultimate lesson in surrender, and the fact that we didn't have control of literally almost every step that we wanted to have control of. So even when they were wheeling me into the operating room, and I was like, they gave me this 4-page consent form to sign, and I'm reading through every single word, and I'm like, oh wait, hold up, this don't make sense. I'm circling it, I'm initialing it, I'm crossing things out, I'm asking for. I'm like, wait, a page is missing, and you want me to sign this next page? And that was like still me trying to hold control. Thankfully it was, because there was something very significant on that missing page that I was not cool with, and I knew we weren't cool with as a couple. So I'm glad that I still like kept the advocacy leading into the operating room. And so,
right.
But overall there was no control. And I think there's a fine balance between learning how to advocate for yourself and allowing what needs to happen. And that was like a major lesson that came out of all of it.
Yeah, that's true. And I think going back to your question about me, vulnerable parts for me, I think that was another vulnerable part for me, was throughout the whole birthing experience, watching another like helpless part of it was like you going through all the stuff you going through, whether you in pain, you contractions, all the stuff that you was going through, and the nurses every 5 minutes like asking you to sign something, look at these papers, this, that, and the third, and it's like, and then I felt bad because I'm like, damn, I like you have to sign it, so it's like I can't help, I can't, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So I think those are like some vulnerable parts too, because it just goes back to like what I was saying before, like just kind of feeling helpless, like I can't help in that type of way. But then like feeling like, damn, like why they pushing papers in front of her, and she like, you know what I'm saying, all that type of stuff. So like that type of stuff too, like the whole experience it's some serious business. Like this ain't no like, you know what I'm saying, like when everything that, I mean, everybody goes through it differently and stuff like that. And I know it's different in different situations. We was in a birthing center. It's probably different at a hospital. Yeah. It might be different with people at home. Like everybody's experience is going to be obviously totally different. But at the end of the day, it is a serious situation. You know what I'm saying? And I know y'all hear my son in the background snoring, sleep, live. And just to let y'all know, probably like 30 minutes of this podcast was Bliss literally breastfeeding. So y'all getting this live, raw, uncut, you know what I'm saying? We making it happen over here. But yeah, so Bliss comes. Bliss is here. We super excited. Everything is good.
How did you feel that moment? That moment when we first seen our son?
I lost it. I was bawling, crying, bawling. I just couldn't believe it because it just felt like so much weight just left. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just, being anxious and nervous the whole time and having to go through that long birth, like that long. How many hours was that? That was like
26 hours.
26 hours, like just going through that whole thing, like it was crazy. So to see him up in the air crying and screaming like I'm here, I'm finally here, you know what I'm saying? Like I was just like, oh my God, and I lost it. Like I was just like, this is crazy. I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that image, that sight. I'll never forget that. And then being able to pick him up, and I just remember how small he was. Like I literally felt like I could just palm him. He was so small. And then I was just happy you was able to have him right then and there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And everything was good. How did you feel?
When I first saw him, well, first off, the whole C-section process was very fast.
Super fast.
It was better than I expected. The people in the operating room I remember they were not gossiping. They were just talking like as if they were coworkers having coffee or something like that. They were having their own conversation. The people working on me, the anesthesiologist was the main one talking to me and like just being very casual about it. And I remember thinking like, is this supposed to be surgery? Like they're acting like I thought it was going to be like pin quiet, you know, like quiet enough to hear a pin drop or whatever. And I just expected something different. And looking back on it now, I'm grateful that it was just a casual, it's like they do this. They were very comfortable in their element. And I think everybody there was actually a really good medical team. I loved how the pediatrician and the anesthesiologist centered you in the room. Like the anesthesiologist was literally taking pictures like, hey, Dad, you want me to take a picture of you and the baby?
Yeah,
and
he was super dope.
Yeah, so that I love. That already like gave me a sense of comfort. But same thing, right when we saw Bliss come above the curtain, I was just so grateful to hear us cry. Yeah, because that was the last thing I needed was to just have a delay in his cry, and I didn't want to worry at all. So that was like the best sound that I could ever hear was my baby's cry. And I was so happy when that they just told you to come over and cut the cord and all that kind of stuff, because I didn't have any worries. I was like, as long as you're right there, I'm not worried about anything that's happening in this room, because obviously I can't get up, you know. But yeah, that moment was special. I just remember screaming out, my baby, you know, when I saw him. And yeah, it was love at first sight.
Yeah, it was crazy. Crazy experience. And then we get back into the the room, and that's when it hit you twice, because it hits you once you get back into the room and they bring the baby to you and then they just walk out. Then it's just like, okay, what do we do now? You know what I'm saying? Type situation. And then it hits you the second time. It hits you when you come home, and then when you put your bags down and stuff like that, and you just like, all right, so what do we do now? But getting back to the room, and then you go through what do we do? You sat with the breastfeeding specialist and who else you meet with?
I don't even remember.
You met with the nutritionist? No.
I don't remember any. No, I didn't meet with a nutritionist. I think just the breastfeeding person. And then just the nurses and stuff. So yeah, that was cool. I think it was one of those things where I think we was getting restless. Obviously, being in the hospital. Being in the birthing center, and of course we wanted to go home, but that we had to stay till I think we did like 2 days. No, we did
or 3 days.
He was born on a Friday, and we left that Monday. Right?
Oh yeah. So
because why do we have to wait an extra day? We had to wait an extra day for some reason. I forget now.
For his
for his circumcision. I think that was why we had to wait an extra day. But I know that another thing that we were really strict about was we didn't want the baby to be out of our sight at all. Yeah. And they honored that. They were really great. I will say that they were really great because they are family centered. Even the style of C-section is called a family centered C-section is what we had, where they allowed us to be, fully present. But I remember that night, the first night, I was just like, how am I supposed to? I just didn't want to fall asleep because I didn't want to. I'm just so paranoid that he's not going to be sleeping the right way, and just like that feeling of, am I supposed to be doing something? Am I doing anything? Am I supposed to be doing anything while the baby is sleeping? And he was crying, and I didn't really know how to breastfeed yet, and so then I was worried about, like, especially the first thing, mom anxiety I had yet was is my baby eating enough? I didn't know if he was getting any food. And so that was my first worry or concern. But my milk came in like when we got home. And so, and I remember being super excited about it because I remember like early in the morning, like tapping, like, my milk is in, because, you know, you don't want to think that you're doing something wrong or something to hurt your baby even more. And so, yeah, it was a journey, but I felt like,
but he was getting something there.
Yeah, he was getting something, but there's no way to really tell.
Right.
And, you know, I never did it before, obviously, so I have no clue what's happening. And
I think it was just like, it was one of them days that when the specialist was there, and then I don't know if she looked in his mouth or something like that, and she was like, "Oh no, that's milk." And then I remember you being happy, like you had like a good like look on your face, like,
yeah.
Like,
see, I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
I do just remember the pain, the first pain when the drugs wore off from the OR, and I had to get up that first time to go to the bathroom. That was the most excruciating pain I've ever felt in my life.
That's crazy.
That was, I think, because that was the pain that made me cry. I don't think I was crying during the contractions. I was screaming.
Yeah.
But like the tears crying, that was the C-section pain. That was that. So healing from that was something that I just didn't anticipate feeling like that uncomfortable. But like you said, by the time Monday rolled around, we were ready to go. We were ready to go with our child. I was looking a hot mess. I was feeling like a hot mess. I was disoriented. I was just like, let's go though. And I couldn't wait to get him home.
And I think it was just like, I was ready to, like, you know, obviously we ready to go, but then there was also like a little bit of scaredness to me where I'm just like, oh, like we're really about to leave with this child. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I said, we get home and then we bringing the bags in and the dog's here and, you know what I'm saying, all that stuff. And now it's like, okay, like we don't got a nurse to just be like, okay, what do we do now? Or like, you know what I'm saying? Like we got nobody to check up on it. So I think that first day was just so weird because it was just like, okay, what do we do? You know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like, you know, through it all, the experience was amazing from top to bottom, from the start of it to going through the pregnancy journey to the birth part, you know, regardless of it not being, you know, exactly how we wanted it and stuff like that. But I think that regardless, like, you know, it still was a great, you know, experience and journey. And then getting home and now becoming parents now and stuff like that. And it's like every day it gets better. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been a great experience. Now, you know, we 3 months in now, so Bliss is 3 months. And it just seems like it's just like insane because he's just growing so fast. He's every day is something new. He's smiling one day, he's talking the next day, he's doing this the next day. Like it's the most bizarre thing to watch him like just like become like like he's really becoming like a human. Like,
yeah, his personality is coming out.
Yeah, like it's crazy. So
how does it feel being a dad?
It feels amazing. It's a great experience. It feels like, I don't know, it feels surreal, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that I always I think I always thought that I was going to be a good dad for some reason. Because I don't think anybody just thinks that they're not going to be a good parent. I think everybody kind of has somewhat of an ego or somewhat of a feeling of like, oh no, I'm gonna do good, you know what I'm saying, until you actually have to do it. But for some reason I just always thought that I was like going to be a good dad or at least try, you know what I'm saying, to be a good dad and stuff like that. And then I think that obviously once we had the baby, of course, like you start to think about like, okay, what's your role, like what is the things you're gonna do, like how how does this happen, like all of these things. You start to think about everything, and then I just started thinking that it was just like so much stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then now going through it, I almost feel like, and I be telling people this sometimes, like I almost feel like it's not as hard as what I thought it was gonna be. And not to say that it's not hard, because it is a super hard thing, and I know that it's probably only going to get harder. So I know people are gonna be listening, talking about, oh, wait till he's 2, or wait till that type of stuff. But I just mean just in general, like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that maybe it just comes from just personality or being the type of person I am. But it's like it's like, if you're a selfless person, I think you can be a great parent, or at least attempt to be a great parent, because I think it's a lot of selflessness that you have to like embody. You got to have a lot of patience. And I think that I'm somebody that's very patient.
You are.
I think that you have to just like, you just have to be in a place of just always knowing that you have to put somebody else first. You know what I'm saying? You have to put this little baby first, you know what I'm saying, in all ways. So I think that like maybe I just already understood that, or already just like whatever. So it's just been a good experience, and it just, I don't know. Like it's nothing that like, cause people be like, what's the worst part of it that you don't like? And I just never be knowing what to say. Like, the diapers is cool. Like, everybody always be like, I bet you don't like changing diapers. And I'm just like, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? As much as, I mean, we change diapers all the time, and it's a lot of diapers, but I think diapers is whatever. Like, I mean, obviously you feed them, you breastfeed them and stuff like that. I mean, you do majority of everything anyways. But I think right now, I think more than anything, it was just always a nervousness of, as far as fatherhood, of like what my role was going to be right now. Because I know that like being a newborn, and especially he's like breastfed and stuff like that, I always felt like it was like going to be like, he's always going to want mommy, always going to want mommy, never going to want daddy. I would even talk to fathers, and fathers would be like, yeah, don't take it personal now. You know, he's not going to come around and really be your friend until he's of age, older, and can understand, blah, blah, blah. So I never really knew like what the exchange between me and him was like in the beginning was gonna be, because of like the outside people telling me things. But going through the experience and actually like being present, I can see that regardless, even if I'm not like, obviously he's breastfeeding or feeding with you or whatever, or like whatever, but like there's other things that I feel like I can do, or I can help out, or if I take him and watch him, or do this or do that, or whatever, it's like those feelings of feeling like needed, or feeling like I'm actually like adding some type of value to the situation. Like, I think that's what I always thought I wasn't going to be able to do this early. So like, that's probably the best part about all of this, is like feeling like, oh, I'm really a part of this. You know what I'm saying? Cause I ain't know like how that was going to feel. You know what I'm saying? Because you just don't, I think as men, we just don't necessarily really talk about like those like super early stages of like taking care of a child. Like, it's kind of like, you talk about your kids when they get like of age, and like, whatever, but you don't, like, you don't really hear guys boasting about like, you know what I'm saying, like those early months, you know what I'm saying, of like oh yeah, I'm doing this and doing that and blah blah blah, da, da, da. Like, you don't really hear that like that. So I just didn't really know how involved, or that I would be able to be, you know what I'm saying, because I always had this understanding of like, yeah, he's probably gonna like his, or just want to be with his mom all the time, and really mess with me like that right now. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like he likes me.
He does. And I think
I'm
that
a pretty good person. I'm pretty cool.
He definitely is a daddy's boy and a mommy's boy, I think. And I think you really took it upon yourself to figure out your pocket and where you could lead. And I think like the first thing I noticed, you led in figuring out how to get him to sleep. That's the main thing that we're still obviously trying to figure out. But I think you taking the lead on that and like just being committed to doing the research, looking at videos or whatever it is, so that you could teach me and, you know, so that we could be, again, that teammate-ness is to me what has come out of our partnership and us being parents. And even like you just cleaned up his room the other day and organized everything, and you're always putting things away and putting his car seat together and showing me how to think. I'm like, you're the one who knows how to work all the gadgets and do all of that kind of stuff, and I lean on you for that. So in that, it frees up space for me to just be mommy and for me to just, he only wants me for milk. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what he wants me. I'm the milk machine right now. And so I really can't, because he's attached to my body more, I feel like I don't have freedom to do things around our home as much. And I feel like you've definitely taken the lead on that. Like you know, I feel like it's just, again, our teammate-ness has just really emerged as something that's in this process that's come out to be something really powerful. And I love that about us. And I think for me, in terms of motherhood, I definitely agree with you for like the fact that that sentiment of it's not easier than I thought, but it's more natural than I thought. I think it's more. It comes more natural.
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
So I think to your point, I don't think it. I want to take away easy, because I think easy just makes me think like, yeah, this is the easiest thing in the world. Like, no, that's the word natural, more natural, because that's kind of what, that's exactly what it is, because I just didn't know how I was gonna be in this element, but then going through this, it was like I just feel like I'm a natural. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like an instinct. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like I ain't know nothing about changing a diaper, but I changed a diaper as soon as he was born. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like those type of things.
You're the better swaddler, remember?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Swaddle gang is crazy. So it's just like instinctual things where it's just like, where did that come from? You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I got younger siblings. I got a niece and stuff like that. So it's not like I've never been around babies and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, it's different when you have your baby, though.
Yeah, definitely different. But I will say, like, in terms of, because the part that I do have to be mindful and very intentional about every single day for me, and a lot of mothers especially, the first thing I asked one of my mom friends was, I was just like, how do you get over the cry? Yeah. Like, there's something that just, I feel it in my body when he cries. Like, I understand why moms recognize their baby's cry from any other baby's cry. And when you hear that shrill cry, like, it makes me feel so helpless. And especially in the beginning, I think I got very overwhelmed because I just was thinking something is wrong. Yeah. And, you know, I had to shift my mindset multiple times in the last 3 months just about how I understand him. And what helps me is just understanding that that's his way that he communicates everything. Yeah. That's his way that he's communicating that he's hungry, that he's uncomfortable, that he wants to be changed, that he wants to just switch to another side. Like, that's just how he communicates until he can speak to us. So, you know, I think that, like, something as simple as that, I think that a lot of mothers especially feel very alone and very helpless with when their baby is crying. And it sounds so natural. I remember you even telling me, like, I think you were trying to make me feel a little better, and you were like, you know, babies cry, and we just have to remember that. And that even helped me, because I was like, okay, this is normal. Something's not happening to him. Something's not wrong. But I wanted to say also the part that I fight every single day or have to be mindful and keep my mind in a very peaceful part is that mom anxiety is real, or that parent anxiety is real. I don't know if you feel it too, but I am constantly worrying. I'm constantly worrying, you know. In the beginning, it was like, is he breathing through the night? And that is I've gotten a little bit better with that, but there's always something to worry about. And I heard somebody recently say every stage of him growing up for the rest of his life, basically, they said it's just going to be a new type of worry for the next terrifying thing that he's going to be doing.
Yep. It's just like new stage. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like even with just like I even just think about like just going back to how I was saying like how things are easy or like just natural or whatever, but I think like at the end of the day, each stage it just gets like it's just a new level. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just a different understanding or a different like experience at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I do think that people need to share that more. I think that if people think that is supposed to not be there, that emotion is not supposed to be there, that fear, that anxiety is not supposed to be there, I think that can make people become more isolated. And I think that especially for the birthing parent, I was very concerned before giving birth that I was going to have postpartum depression.
Yeah.
I felt like I was prone to it to begin with. I felt like, I felt like it was almost inevitable. I felt like everybody I know has had some type of form of baby blues and postpartum depression. I've heard about it a lot. And I already have my own anxieties and stuff like that. So I felt like, okay, this is going to be a big part. And I remember having a conversation with you just so that you knew and were aware of like signs of postpartum depression in case I needed to be supported in that. And the fact that I genuinely feel like I have not had any postpartum depression, definitely postpartum anxiety, which I didn't even know was a separate thing. Definitely had that, but I did not have postpartum depression. And I think it's because I had to continuously be mindful of the thoughts I was having in my brain. And I think that people need to talk about that more. I think that it does a disservice for people to think that those feelings of fear, isolation, anxiety are not normal. Like it's all normal. And I feel like we need more tools to share with each other as mothers, as parents, to help us navigate what happens. Like even today, I had a rush of thoughts go through my brain about things that could be wrong with him. And I had to literally, for every 5 thoughts that I had that were negative, I had to think of 5 other truths that were the opposite of those feelings and those thoughts. And I had to hammer those into my brain and I had to really breathe through that. Yep. Those are the things that people don't talk about. People don't talk about how they cope with the everyday worries of, you're literally responsible for somebody's life in an instant. You know what I'm saying? This is a baby. I'm responsible. So, and especially being home with him all day and the number one who can, I don't know. It's just it's a 24/7 job. There is no off. Right. There is no off. And
I mean, it's even a super anxiety, like even the checkups, like going to the checkups and stuff like that, because you always had like build up that anxiety of like, oh my God, like, I hope they don't say, something or they don't bring this up or whatever situation is. And then, when you continue to go to these checkups and stuff like that, and we're blessed because, everyone so far has been amazing. Yeah. And just hearing super amazing things about Bliss and, just like, oh, he's this, he's that, he's alert, he's this, he's that, he's da-da-da, he's that, and it's just like, wow. Because, before that, sometimes you go to these checkups or you go to these things and you already have it in your mind, like they about to say something or something about it's about to be this, or he ain't going, I don't know, his weight down or his weight up or his something this or that, You always think about a lot of these things. So the fact that, everything's been a movie. You know what I'm saying? I'm super blessed and I'm thankful. You know, that everything has been great. And especially just navigating through these times that we in. You know what I'm saying? You got all this, you know, now they got a brand new, you know, strand and all this stuff of all this stuff that's going on and, you know, everything in the world. I don't even want to go into it, but you know, it's just a lot of things to fear.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
you have to play that game of mentally blocking things out. You have to really, it's like a game. You really have to put up your blinders when you need to. Like both of us are very big on protecting our energy. Mm-hmm. I'm very, very big on protecting my mind and my mental energy, especially since having him, since their whole pregnancy. I think that was another thing that came out for me personally was how many boundaries I had to set up about what I put into my mind. I couldn't let people in their fear stories, like there's certain things I think you should never say to a pregnant woman or somebody who's about to have a baby. It's just like, why would you tell this dark story when somebody has a small child? But then even turning on the news or like listening to overhearing a conversation when you're out, you can't control that.
Yeah.
And so like protecting my mind has been a huge, huge thing. And I think that, you know, where we are today, I think both of us, obviously we're more focused on our health right now. I mean, we've always kind of gone, we've always been health conscious and kind of gone on streaks where we're super health conscious and mindful. And ever since our relationship has started, we've always done cleanses and been intentional about that type of stuff. But now thinking about our health, our child is dependent on our health. And that is a bigger responsibility. And so again, health of not just our bodies, but health of our mind. Like my baby is dependent on me to be well all the way around. So that's what I need to do.
Right. And speaking of you know, wellness and you know, protection and protecting our minds, our bodies, our souls. You know, I wanna end off by talking about, you know, things that you got going on, your business, you know, the things that you got coming in the future. So talk to me about everything, your business. Talk to me about you know, future plans if you want to get into those. So what's going on for 2023 for Sharon?
So for 2023, I have a lot of 2023 is the year of the entrepreneur, the mompreneur, the soulpreneur, mompreneur. That's definitely the energy I'm stepping into this year. I've done a lot of energy work in healing on my own over the last 7 years, I would say. And I've learned a lot on my journey. And I've met a lot of people who are also going through the same journey and definitely doing it in a way that is isolated. I think that especially when you start going through your spiritual awakening, dark night of the soul, whatever you want to call it, whenever you start really trying to look within, or even if you're just on a self-development journey, if you're not necessarily calling it spiritual, whenever you start to go on this journey where you are just like, I want to be the best version of myself. I want to do what I came here to do, meaning I want to do what I came here to do in this life, in this earth school, on this planet. Like what is my soul's purpose? So I really have been on the journey of living in my purpose for a while. And I think that, you know, especially as a Black woman, I have a, you know, 10 plus year career in social justice work. So I've always fought for the Black community and our people in various ways through my formal 9-to-5 work. But I think that you're only, there's a ceiling to that. You're only allowed to advocate and fight and do things with integrity as far as your job lets you. And so I think that a big, huge part of liberation for Black people especially is entrepreneurship. And, you know, I don't think we're meant to have bosses, to be honest. You know this. I don't think that any of us are meant to have bosses. I think that
we're here to create. And I'm definitely, I told you this recently, this year, my word for the year is co-creation. And I just want to be in that state of flow and living in my purpose and healing myself continuously, but also helping to heal others with everything that I've learned. We're not supposed to do things in isolation. We're not supposed to learn in isolation. We're not supposed to live in isolation. And we're definitely not supposed to heal in isolation. And people think heal. I think when people think heal, they think that something very traumatic must have happened in their past. And that's what, they have to have some really severe story to heal from. And that's not the case. We all need healing because we've all been taught things about ourselves from the time that we were born, that we just didn't have control over. And so as adults and especially as parents, and now we are able we're here able to cultivate space for our child to live out his purpose. I think that, it's just, we have a responsibility to pour in the good things that we want. All we do is live out the belief systems that were programmed into us from when we were children, not just from our parents, but from our communities, our school systems, the society in general. And so I think that especially for Black and brown people, the things that we have learned about ourselves is not true and we need to unlearn. And so the first part of healing, if people don't like the word healing, is I think just is unlearning. Is unlearning the things that you've been told about yourself and writing your own new story. And so I'm a big advocate of people telling their own story and having their own rebirth and being able to walk this life. This life is supposed to be beautiful. And I think that we forget that. And I think that we forget that we're supposed to be playful. We're supposed to be in love. We're supposed to be in bliss. And you and I both have talked about, even the reason why we named our son Bliss, we both have experienced moments of bliss in our lives at some point, even before we met each other. And I think that we forget that and we get wrapped up into the 9 to 5 and we get wrapped up into what people say our lives should be. We get wrapped up into social media and what social media says we should be. And I think that, that's just another way we continue to keep ourselves in bondage. And I'm here for the liberation of us. I'm here for my own liberation. I'm here for the liberation of my child. I'm here for the liberation of my family. And so I want that for everyone else. And I think that it takes more people looking like us in a relatable way. Like you don't have to be a shaman or a priest or any of these, or a therapist or anything like that to live a life that feels free and feels loving and feels vibrant. Like you don't need that. You don't need these formal channels to be you. Like God is within all of us. And I think that there's a lot of truths that I think people are missing. And so what my business is around is around liberating ourselves through liberating our minds, liberating our bodies, because our souls are already free. So our souls don't actually need to be liberated. Once we liberate our mind, once we liberate our body, our souls are set free. And then we're able to be in that God version, that creatrix version of ourselves. And what it takes is just the unlearning and the stripping of everything else that life has done to us. And so I know that sounds very like woo-woo and out there to a lot of people, but what I'm learning now is that the science is catching up with a lot of what we've known spiritually. Yep. We know that we're all energy. We can attract and we can bring things into our lives that are based on our own frequency. So if we mine our own energy, we mine our own frequency, we can have these beautiful lives. We can have these blissful lives. And I think that's what we're all here to do. We're not here to suffer. And people don't even know they're suffering. That's the most fucked up part to me, is that they don't even know that they're suffering. They don't even know that they're in bondage. But I think what I'm here to do is to help others navigate that. And what I'm here to do is help people live on their purpose and thrive. I want us to get out of this survival mode. You know, we deserve to thrive. If you are in survival mode, you cannot be thriving. You know what I mean? And a lot of people want to show that they're thriving on the gram or whatever it is, and they're still unfulfilled. And their relationships are unfulfilled, and they're not doing what they really want to be doing. They're not on a everyday basis feeling the way that they want to feel. And we can all have that. And so what I'm doing is coming up with a group coaching offer and a couple of courses and other offerings that I have in my product suite so that I can help people find their own liberation. That's a long
amazing.
way. I'm long-winded, you know.
It's all good. That's what we here to do. We here to talk. So that's good. That's great. So group coaching. I definitely want to get you back on the show soon. And I want to request if maybe next time, can we do like a reading, like a live reading?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So tarot. I didn't even talk about the tarot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tarot is one of the, I consider myself an intuitive. We all are intuitive. It's just a matter of practicing different tools that are going to help us tap into our intuition, because we all have it. And tarot has been one of the very significant tools in my own journey that has allowed me to tap into my subconscious mind, that has allowed me to communicate with my spirit guides and my team, that has allowed me to understand the reality of things. And I think that a lot of people are scared or kind of put off by tools like the tarot and anything that sounds, witchy. And to that, I say that belief is not our own. That belief is, without getting too deep, that belief was given to us by people who did not want us to have our own indigenous tools and our own ways to communicate with our spirit guides, our ancestors, the angels, whatever, that any fear that we might have around anything mystical and indigenous does not come from us. And so I think that the tarot is just one way that people are learning now, because you can do it in private. You can get a tarot deck and kind of play and explore with it in private, unlike certain other intuitive tools. And I think that what I've noticed is that there's a big emergence of Black and brown women, especially, who are breaking out their own tarot decks in private. And a lot of people are not only asking for readings, but they want to understand how to use the tarot for their own personal self-development journey.
Right.
And that's what the tarot is. The tarot is a self-development tool. Even if you don't, consider yourself spiritual or anything like that, what it is a self-development tool, because all it is a system of understanding the different archetypes, the different personalities, the different stages in life, and how to navigate that. That's all it is. And so I definitely use tarot as a main tool for my own healing and to help heal other people. And so tarot is one of the offerings that I have. But what I do make the distinction that I don't do tarot as a what we would call like a predictive reader. So it's not like going to a $5 tarot reading and asking about your love life and saying, should I break up with this person or am I going to find love? Like I think that that's very disempowering. And I think that how things like tarot get a bad rap and how people who consider themselves to be psychic get a bad rap is because, just like with anything else, there's always going to be, in any field, there's always going to be people who take advantage of other people and use their intuition or use whatever their skill set is for a negative, or use it just to get money or whatever, whatever it is. But I think that the distinction that I want to make is with how I use the tarot is I really try to use it as an empowering tool. And that's why I try to mend it with my coaching, because I don't feel like you can truly get what you need to get out of a tarot from one reading. Like, I like to work with clients who are going to allow me to, let's tap into what's happening in your subconscious, and then let's come up with a coaching plan to get you the results that you need to get, that you're looking to get. And so the way I work with tarot with clients is to be able to offer a package. So maybe having like a four-part tarot coaching package instead of just like a one-off reading. And really putting the power back in your hands. You know, I teach people how to ask empowering questions. Don't ask about when I will find love. How about you ask, how can I love myself deeper so that I'm available to attract love and be in love at all times, you know? So.
That's dope. Well, you heard it. It's on the way. Make sure, where can they find you? Where can they tap in with you?
So my IG is Sharon Liann, Sharon _ Liann, Liann on Instagram.
So make sure y'all follow her. She got a lot going on. She got a lot on the way. Definitely tap in with her if you want to, I don't want to say upgrade your life because I don't want to make people feel bad. But, you know, if you want to.
It's an investment. It's an investment in your life. Because
invest in your life if you want to, you know, build up that vibration, that you know, just operate on that high level frequency. You know, she's here to get you there, to teach you.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. It's an investment in yourself. We all deserve to invest in ourselves this year. We spend so much, and I'm not just talking about money, we spend so much energy on things that do not matter and do not pour back into us. So this is the year for us all to pour back into us. And invest into your own development, because learning yourself throughout life is the best thing that you can do. The answers are always within. Any guru or guide or whoever who tells you to look to them is false. A real guide will always point you back to yourself.
That's powerful. I like it. Well, listen, man, this is that DJ Meechie podcast. We had an amazing show. Thank you, Sharon, for popping through with Bliss.
Thank you for having us.
And like I said, I definitely want to do this again. I want to get you on, and you know, we definitely do a live reading or something like that. I think that'll be interesting to do that live on the show. And you know, and whatever else you got going on, because I know then you're gonna have a whole bunch more going on and stuff like that. So you know, and I think this was special to come back. One, it's episode 3. You know, 3 is my favorite number. It's the top of the year. We starting this thing off fresh. You know, like I said, I'm definitely gonna be consistent this year and really, you know, give y'all this content that y'all been asking me for. They be in my DMs. They be emailing me, texting me, or when you dropping a new episode, Well, we here. You know what I'm saying? We made it. I'm gonna have some good guests on. You know, people that you guys might be familiar with if you know me. People that you obviously won't be familiar with, depending on where you're listening from. Definitely going to be talking to some just very interesting people. And we just gonna, you know, talk about, you know, what they got going on, talk about the world, talk about life, you know, how to once again upgrade yourself, how to you know, get on that vibration. We're gonna get right for 2023, and we just gonna be magnificent, you know what I'm saying, while we continue to grow and grow together. So thank y'all for tuning in and tapping in with us. I definitely wanted this to be a special podcast too, because obviously doing it with y'all, of course, one, but I just think that my second episode was with Victoria Monet, and she talked a lot about motherhood and a lot about that side of things, and I just thought it was special to get you on here to talk about not just motherhood, but because she talked about motherhood coming from a place of being, yes, a artist and a creative, and just how her being a singer, songwriter, and that whole stigma of like, well, you had a baby, so your career is over, and like all that type of stuff. But I wanted you to come in here and speak from a place of of that birthing experience, because I think that a lot of people, we hear a lot of those stories about the moms that possibly made it, the moms that may have gone through, what they had to go through because they got careers and they going through this and da-da-da-da, childhood, all that type of stuff. But you don't necessarily really hear too many stories of people being vulnerable enough to talk about their birthing experience, I feel like. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, I was excited to have you up here, excited to have you come on and talk about the birthing experience and everything, because I just think that a lot of people could relate to it. A lot of women of color, of course, too. People that might be nervous to talk about, or maybe feel alone because maybe they feel like, oh, this only happened to me, and that type of stuff. So to be able to just have that representation, and to know that you're not alone, you know what I'm saying, and we all go through some of the same stuff. So I just thought it was good to be able to talk about that and bring that to the platform. So thank you. So yeah, you know what it is, man. DJ Meechie podcast. Appreciate y'all tuning in, checking in with me and all that. And I will see y'all next week. Peace.